Okay, let me see here. Let's see. I don't know if you guys can actually see both monitors, can you? I don't believe you guys can. 1 second. Alright, 1 second here. Alright, let's see. Yeah, okay. It's not, this is not showing both. And delete this capture. And we got that one. Alright, so C# live programming. This is number 14. Multiplayer 2D top-down adventure MMORPG part 7. Let's see, continue our network, just to get this framework up and running. Consider a new direction for the network architecture. I'm thinking client and server should be separate. We'll continue branching out the server and client in the next stream. Hope you enjoy the teaser video. Okay, so hey, what's up, Jiro? Yeah, I just started the stream, man. Some people, some more should be joining soon. How's it going? Alright, let me see here. You'd be surprised, man. Let's see, considering a new direction for the network architecture, I think client and server should be separate. We get let's see, we get the connection of the client and server set up. We get the connection of the client and server set up. Okay, so I have been, let me see here. Yeah, alright. So I have been developing this framework inside one project the entire time. And in the last stream, we started branching this shit out. And what I think I'm going to do is go that route. The only problem with that is we have to use what's called the lower level API. So I don't get to use the network manager, and I don't get to use this network manager component. That network manager component allows me to use like the command attribute and the RPC attributes, which are great and they're easy. The problem with that is when you're creating a game that's an MMO, is when you use things like RPC calls and commands, a lot of the code logic is on the client, and you can actually hack the client. You can cheat, and cheat clients can go in and change variables and properties. So I don't want any of that to happen. So that's the reason I'm going to go with a client-server framework where everything the player does is verified and authorized by the server. So if you click somewhere, that's going to be client-side, but in order for it to show up on anyone else's or have any effect, the server needs to say, yeah, okay, sure, you can click there. Or same for if you're creating a skill like wood cutting, for instance. If you click a tree, sure, you can walk up to that tree, but the server is going to be the final say of yes, you can cut that tree, or no, you can't cut that tree. The server is going to determine, am I going to play an animation for you cutting that tree on everyone's client, or am I going to do nothing? Alright, so let's go ahead and start. Give me 1 second here. Just going to share this live link in the inside of the Facebook group, Unity Game Dev, that I run. Let's see here. Live. Alrighty. Alright, so let's go ahead and do this. So this is the server here. So I'm gonna start the server from scratch basically. So here I'm gonna go ahead and set the IP address of the server, and I'm gonna set the port in the inspector. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say application.runIn background equals true, so the application doesn't stop. And then what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna say void initialize server. Right, so I'm going to initialize the server, and we are going to initialize it with string IP address and int port. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and say network server. All right, so network server is going to give us access to the low-level API. And what we're going to do is say .listen, and that's going to actually open up the connection. So I can pass in a IP address and a port. So let's go ahead and do start the server on the given port number. Note that if a match has been created, this will listen using the relay server. So we're going to go ahead and pass in here our IP address and our port that we set in the inspector. Alright, so I need to know when someone has connected to the server. So the way we do that is we have to set up register handlers basically. And basically they are functions that we can register to that I believe are default inside of the networking system. So let's see here. I'm just looking here. So we have create a client and connect to the server port. Alright, that's going to be useful for when we get into the client. I want to look at the server API. So I want to say network server. And let's see here. Give me 1 second. Alright, so let's see. Do you have a Twitch account? You could put it on the creative section. Hey Bees, dude. So I got your message. I believe I do have Twitch, but I don't. It's been so long since I've streamed to Twitch. I also don't really. I don't know if I don't really know how like the streams work to keep track of both chats. If I have to keep track of both chats. But if you know how to set it all up and how it works, if I want to do both streams, then you know, feel free to send me a message and I will. I'll set it up for the next one, man. Hey, what's up, Trey? All right, so let's see here. So we're setting up the server from scratch here. So I'm going to go ahead and say network server dot listen, and that's going to be all I think we need. Network server dot listen. And then, oh yeah, sorry, I wanted to look into the network handle. So how do I handle an incoming connection? So we're looking here for network server dot handler. Yeah, handlers. All right, so a dictionary of the message handlers registered with the server. All right, so let's see here. Dictionary of the message, the key to the dictionary is the message ID. Not really useful. Hold on. Clear handlers. Clear handlers, no. Clear spawners. Register handler. Here we go. Register a handler for a particular message type. That's what I want. So here we have, there are several system message types which you can add handles for. You can also add your own message types. So here what they're doing is they're basically starting the network on port 7070. They're debugging.log, registering server callbacks, and then this will automatically get called. So what happens is network server.register handler, when a client connects, when a client connects, it will call this onConnected method. And it will say client connected. So we're going to use exactly that. They do have a class here message type. The system message types are listed below. So these are internal, which means I can't use 1 through 15. I can extend it with 16 up. So that's what I plan to do. Yeah, this is the MMO tray. Oh, okay, I got you, dude. Yeah, maybe I'll consider going to Twitch. I used to stream on Twitch, but I figured it's so much easier on YouTube because I can just, as soon as the stream is over, I can just put it in a live stream video playlist and it's good to go. Alright, so most of these messages are internal use only. Users should not define message IDs in this range. Alright, so here we go. So object destroy, RPC, object spawn, owner, command, local player transform. I'm looking for, let me see here. So message type dot connect. Which one is that? I don't even see that on here. Am I like missing it? Huh. Okay, interesting. It must just be like built into message type, I guess, on the Unity side. Alright, so check this out. So we're going to go ahead and register that handler. So we're going to say network server.listen, and then here we're going to have void register handlers. Alright, and we're going to call that. So network server.listen, and we're going to say register handlers. And then here we're going to go ahead and say network server dot register handler, and we want a handler on the message type for connect. So we're going to say message type dot. Okay, yeah, they added a lot more since that documentation. All right, dot connect. All right, and connect is 32, so I have to start mine above 32. Alright, so let's see here. Let's see here. So network server.register handler message type.connect. Alright, and then basically now it's looking for a message delegate for the handler, which is going to be on connected to server. On connected, basically. So now what I need to do is I need to go and create a function for that. So here we're going to have void unconnected, and we're going to say network message net message. So automatically when someone connects to the server, this will get called. We'll say debug.log client connected. Alright, so client gets connected. Let's see here, what am I missing? Message, so connect, and let's just start there. So this is all the server code. So I want to add some logs here. We're going to go ahead and say here network server.listen, and I want to go ahead and say I want to check the status of this. Alright, so we register the handlers, and then let's go ahead and say debug.log network status. Let's see. Or here, we're going to go ahead and just say server on. And we'll go ahead and say network server dot status, network server dot, gotta be something for like is on or listen. Let's see, that's a bool. Nope. Let's see, server on network server dot. Damn. What are we looking for here? Shoot, I don't see it. I want to know if the server is on. Oh, here, wait, get stats. I'll get connection stats. Not quite what I want. I don't want a dictionary of that. Disconnect all, destroy connections, configure. Oh, active. Here we go. Checks if the server is active. Alright, so that's what we want. So network server.active, if it's on, it's going to return true. If it's off, it's going to return false. Alright, so we're going to set up the server on localhost and say 4444. We're going to register our handlers, which is our network server.register handler connects. So when a client connects, we're going to know about it right here. And now that I think about it, what happens when a client disconnects? That's just as important as when they connect. So we're going to say network server.register handler. We're going to say message type dot disconnect. And then we're going to call on disconnect. Right, on disconnected. Alright, and we'll do the exact same thing here. We'll say void on disconnected. Alright, void on disconnected. We're going to pass in a network message that we're going to receive from the client who just connected. Alright, and we're going to say debug.log client dropped connection. Alright, so now we have two handlers, so we can know when someone connects to the server and when someone leaves the server. Alright, so here we go. So debug.log server on, and let's go ahead and test this out. Alright, so we have our network manager. Alright, our network manager here is localhost 7777, and let's go and run this. Alright, oh whoops. So the reason why it's not working is I never started it. We have to go and void start, and I need to go ahead and say initialize server. So I'm going to say initialize server, and I'm going to pass in the IP address from the inspector as well as the port. So basically what we're doing is we have to do everything from scratch now. We're doing all the networking from scratch because we want to have more control. If we use the high-level API, I have to keep the projects together, and it's not really secure. You can cheat and you can hack, so that's why we have to do this. But what's nice about this is we have complete control and flexibility over our framework. So server on, true. All right, we're good with server code. Let's move over to network code now. All right, so I'm going to bring over the client here. So this is the server. Now we're moving over to the client. Alright, so delete that. Alright, so here's our client. We have a network client here. Alright, and what we're going to do... Alright, here's our client. And we're going to create a new C# script, and we're going to call this client. Alright, and we don't have a network manager in here either, so we have to actually create the client and we have to do all the connection stuff ourselves. Alright, so the way we're going to do that is we need to include Unity Engine .networking. Alright, and then what we also need to do, let's see here, what we also need to do is trying to think here. We need to create a network client. So we're going to say network client, and then we're just going to name this client. Yeah, network client. Okay, and then what I want to do now is I want to say void start. Alright, so network client, and on start, what I want to do is I want to connect to that server. So the way we do that is I say underscore client. Let's actually do this. Let's say void connect. So here's void connect. And let's go ahead and say client.connect. And you'll see here that it's asking for some stuff. Here we go. Server IP, server port. So the IP is localhost. Alright, and the server port was 7777. Alright, now just like in the server, I want to know when the client has connected to the server. So I need to create void register handlers. Alright, and what we're going to do here is we need to register a handler for us. So we're going to say client.register handler, and I want to say message type dot connect. Alright, and this is going to get called when you connect. So we're going to say on connected to server. So here we'll have void on connected to server. This function will automatically get called if we successfully connect to the server. So we're going to say on connected to server, and we need to pass in the network message, net message, And then we can go ahead and say in here, debug.log, connected to server. And then likewise, when we log out, right, we want to be able to clean up our client. So we're going to go ahead and say here, client.register handler. And we're going to say message type dot disconnect. And we're going to say on disconnected to server. Alrighty, and then down here, same thing. Void on disconnected to server. And we're going to debug.login here, connect the server. We're going to say dropped from server. Okay, and we have to pass in again the network message here. Alright, so this net message again is how we communicate from client to server. We use net message. So it's super important that we understand how to use that, which I really don't. So we're going to have to look at the documentation for it when we get into actually creating gameplay for this game. So here we go. Let's go ahead and test this out. All right, so we got our client. I'm getting these script errors, and I don't. They don't affect anything, but I believe it has something to do with the network code. I'm not 100% sure. But I do want to remove this client script. I don't want that. And I want to create a network client game object. So we're going to say network client. I'm going to add the client on there. And let's go ahead and test this out. So if I connect, oh here, and actually no, just like before, this isn't going to work. I need to start the connection. So I'm going to say connect when we start. Alright, and let's go ahead and see if we get this connected to server message. So in order to do this, I need to run the server. Alright, so right here's the server, I'm running it. Server on is true. I'm going to my client. Alright, I'm going to run. And I'm getting a null reference exception. Object reference not set to an instance of an object, client connect. Okay, right. So the reason why that is because we never created the new client. So I actually need to say here underscore client in void start or in connect. I need to go ahead and say client equals a new network client. And do I need to pass anything? I do not. There we go. Now it should work. Alright, so let that compile. Alright, let's go ahead and test that again. Alright, so check it out. On connected to server. Let's see, that's an error there. Did it connect us? It's not doing anything. Alright, and then I'm getting this index out of range bullshit. Which seems to be a big bug with 5.6 Unity. Not really 100% sure. Let me see here. Why are we not successfully connecting? Let's see. Void on connected. We have message type disconnect. We successfully register. They do. Let's see. On connected, client connected. And where is network client? Okay, I want to see network client here. And I'm going to say, here we go. Alright, so here we go. So here we're setting up the client. I did this. I said client equals new network client. I registered the handler. And then I connected. Oh, I wonder if I have to register those handlers first. Interesting that they did that. I don't know if we have to do that, but we might want to try that. Just to test it once we get it working too. And you know what? I noticed, I don't know if I need this IP address at the moment. I will when I do a remote server test. So this is port 7777. And if we go back to the client, we are on port 7777. Alright, let's go ahead and test this again. Alright, we're going to run that. Alright, server is on. Go over to here. Alright, and there we go, that worked. So check it out, so client connected. So right now we successfully separated the projects, and we do have indeed a connection. We have a connection from the client and server. So I believe the reason why we're getting this error is because I'm leaving the editor. So I need to go ahead and say here, application.run in background equals true. And I believe that will fix that. But as you can see here, I just logged off on the, whoops. Okay, yeah, I logged off on the client and it dropped from the server. Alright, so let's go and clear these messages and test that again. Alright, so I'm going to start the server first. Okay, server on is true. I'm going to come over here, run the client. And as you can see, on the server we received the message on the left here that says client connected. Good. I'm going to go ahead and log off the server. And you can see client dropped connection. So we successfully created a connection between the client and the server. So we are set. Now we can actually continue this framework and we can move on with actually doing other game logic. Now there's an issue with the way this works. So the way a client and server architecture works is that basically the client is its own game and it's just sending messages to the server, almost like asking for permission, and the server is sending responses. And at that same time, the server is in charge of populating clients. So for instance, if I log in, the server is responsible for letting me log in. It gives me permission to log in. If you log in, the server has to let you log in, as well as update my client with information about you, as well as update their client about information about me. Now, using the high-level API with the network manager, this is done for us automatically, where we can easily get multiple people in the game and it syncs automatically their objects using the network identity. Well, here we don't get any handouts, so we have to actually send data packets ourselves, and we have to we have to create our own system where when I log in you can see me and when I log out you don't see me, or vice versa. So it's definitely more complex going this route, and oftentimes when you do stuff like this is where it gets to the point where you're almost like, well shit, this is gonna take a ton of work. How badly do I want to do this? So let's go ahead and look into something. I need to look into the network message class because I need to be more familiar with how we can send messages back and forth and how we handle other clients, because if we're doing it ourselves, I need to be able to control it. So like for instance, when we start creating our map, if you're out of view, there's no reason for me to update you on my client. You don't need to know about me if you're on the other side of the map. So we're going to have to create some functionality to control this. Let's see here. The clients in this code registered a callback function. Alright, so we are connecting. Trying to see here. I'm looking for a network send message. That's what I want. Here we go, network message. Alright, let's see here. The details of a network message received by a client or server on a network connection. So basically these network messages are what's going to be responsible for letting us do anything, from spawning things to doing actions and so forth. Ideally what we're going to do is the client is going to be responsible for the graphics and animations. Everything else is going to be server related. So we need to look into message base. Alright, network message classes should be derived from this class. These message classes can then be sent using the various send functions. Let me see here. Alright, and then to send to the server, instead of using like the command and RPC attributes, we have to use network client.send. And then basically the server will receive the message and send it back through a network server.send to client. and then we can pass in the client we want to send it back to. Alright, so check this out. Message base.deserialize. This method is used to populate a message object. Message base. Alright, so network message classes should be derived from this class. These message classes can then be sent using the various send functions of network connection, network client, and server. Okay. Public data fields of classes derived from message base will be automatically serialized with the class. Alright, well that's good. The virtual methods serialize and deserializable may be implemented by developers for precise control, but if they are not implemented, then implementations will be generated for them. Okay, that's fine. Personally, I don't want to deal with the serialization. I'm sure the way Unity is doing it is perfect. Let's see here. In the example below, the methods have implementations, but if those methods were not implemented, the message would still be usable. Okay, good to know. So here we have a unsigned int, their net ID, which is their network ID. So when you connect, you're like 1, 2, 3, 4, whichever place in the queue you connected. It looks like they're doing a network hashed 128. Not 100% sure what that is. A 128-bit number used to represent assets in a networking context. Interesting. Let's see here. They're passing in a position and a payload of data. So this method will be generated. And they're overriding this, but I don't have to do this. So yeah, they're doing things with their own reader basically, and writers. I don't need to. Unity will automatically handle sending data and reading data. Okay, this was not super helpful, but I do want to look into message-based Unity. I just want to see what kind of discussion is around there. Alright, let's see here. I'm trying to see. I want to do message-based Unity. It's going to do network message. Actually, no, yeah, let's do this. Client server architecture in Unity 5. I want to see what some people are doing. Let's see what these guys are doing. Server client unit. Game unit. Yeah. Let's see what they're doing. No, I don't want to do any of that. Alright, let's see here. Most people consider it impossible because it is near impossible. Let's see here. Yeah, you'll get shit. Alright, when writing a number, don't expect to find tutorials. It's all this stuff. Yeah, not super helpful. Yeah, a lot of people don't really separate their client and server, honestly, in Unity. Separate client, server, Unity 5. But some do. Okay, here we go. I'm attempting to make a very simple prototype multiplayer online game. The first step, yada yada. 2 questions regarding this. As a title says, should I be making the server in a separate project? Come on, someone link me to an article. Separate server client network problems. Alright, don't destroy load. No. Dedicated server and separate project. Though we set up our servers for Feudal War, we had the server and the client in different projects, both for performance and security reasons. Hacking, cheating, exactly why I want to do what we're doing. We had a problem with synchronizing network view ID initially, because if you have a network view in the scene, it will get a unique scene ID. We ended up not having any network view component that does state synchronization pre-made in the scene. Instead, we instantiate all of them at runtime. The server tells the clients what to instantiate and which view ID it should have. It is also the only place where any real data values are kept, such as weapon damage, player's health, etc. This way we have maximum authority and security on the server side and much more focused in small game server builds. For instance, the navigation mesh exists only on the server, as clients do not perform any AI calculations, while no actual mesh data is kept on the server side, only collision data. Let's see. Say it's worth to separate development of the server client, especially when security and performance matters. Alrighty. Not super helpful. Trying to... Networking. Create separate Unity project for headless server. Alright, some prefer to both sides in one script. Yeah. I'm kind of like looking for. I want to see how other people handle their message servers, because here is how I send a message across, I believe. So right now, what I've done here is my network manager. All I've done is I initialize the server, and on the client, all I do is I connect to the server. So that's all we're doing. What I want to do now is I want to be able to intercept a message from the client and send a message back from the server. So, in order to do this, let me see here. Here's the client. Alright, so I believe in order to do this, I need to send like a message handler basically. So on connect to server, I want to send the message, or actually not here, on connect to server, and then what I would do, I need to do network send message. So I'm going to say network server dot send, oops, I'm sorry, network client. So I want to say client dot send, and what it's going to take is a message type and a message base message. Now that message base is what's going to be serialized over the network and deserialized to be read on the server. So what do we want to do? Let's just go ahead and send the message hey. So I'm going to say underscore client dot send, and I believe I need a message type for this, but let's see if one exists. So we're going to say debug.log, oh, I'm sorry, we want to say network message. Oops. I want to say client.send, and here I'm going to send in a message type. So we're going to say message type dot, and let's go ahead and say, let's go ahead and just create one. I don't see one in here for sending just a message to the player. So let's go ahead and just create one. We'll put in like 500 in here. Alright, and then what we're going to do here is now we need a message base. This sends a network message with a message ID to the server. This message is sent on channel 0, which by default is the reliable channel. Alright, so to create a message base, we need a class that inherits message base. So we'll go down here and we'll go ahead and say public class. We'll go ahead and say, let's go ahead and say message. And that's going to inherit from message base. Alright, and what we're going to do here is we're going to have a public string property. We're going to say public string. Actually, I don't even think I need that. I think it would be private. I'm just going to go ahead and say string. Can I do that? Well, we'll say I'm going to go ahead and say string message, and it's going to say hey server. Alright. Now, in order to actually make use of this, I need to go ahead and instantiate that, I believe. So I can't just go in here and I can say message. I believe I need to create that message. So I need to go ahead and say here, I need to say message MSG equals a new message. And then I need to fill in my message. So I'm going to go ahead and say message, and here, this is just a base class for a message system. So I don't need to declare it. String message, and what I'm going to do here in the instructor is I'm going to go ahead and say message equals hey server. Alright, new message equals hey server, and I don't know what it doesn't like about that yet, but we'll find out. Alright, so I'm going to pass in here MSG and end it. Let's see, message.message is inaccessible. Okay, yeah, so here, it needs to be public. And I believe we actually need to serialize, I don't think so actually. Alright, public string message, and then we'll go ahead and send this off. Alright, good deal. So check it out. So I'm going to say message equals new message equals hey server. Alright, and then we're going to say that we're going to basically, from the client, we're going to send this message to the server. And now, on connected to server, we're going to do all this good stuff. And the server is now going to intercept it. So I'm going to turn off the server here. So the server, in order to intercept it, needs to be listening for it. So I have to create another network handler for messages, basically. So we're going to say network server.register handler. The message type is that 500 code. And when we receive it, we're going to say message received. And what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to look into how we want to design this, because the idea is you want to have very generic message types, because all we want to do is we want to pass back data back and forth between client and server, and we want to do it in very minimal type data. We really don't actually want to be passing strings back and forth except for chatting in real time. But like for instance, if you aren't the right level to cut a skill, we kind of want to have a success system. So it's either going to be 1 for success or 0 for no, and we'll get into that when we decide how I want to structure this. But basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and say here, I'm going to say on message received, okay? And in order to do that, we need to now say void on message received. Alright, that's going to take in a network client. And what we're going to do here is we're going to say network message and net message. Alright, and the network message received, we can go ahead and grab that data from it now. So what I can do here is I can go ahead and say debug.log. We'll say message from client. And we'll go ahead and say net message dot reader dot read message. And the T message inherits from base. Okay, interesting. I don't know if I need that class on the server as well. I don't believe so. But let's see. Hey, how's it going, Sorka? Yeah, man, we got a whole networking solution up. We did all the MySQL PHP stuff, but now we're kind of separating it from a one project that has the client and server logic using the high-level API to a separate client and dedicated server, and this is causing a lot of issues because now we have to use the low-level API and we don't get all the fancy Unity help, so we're writing everything ourselves. All right, so debug.log message from client. I want to say, let's see here, read message, and it's saying T message where the message type inherits from base. I don't know if I can just say message. No, because I wouldn't know. Or would it? Hold on. Where's the client? So yeah, so this is a message type that inherits from message base. So I don't know if I can do that unless I have it here. So I don't want to do that though. What are my other options? We have read message where message type inherits from base. No. Let's say reader dot read message let me see here, hold on. So I'm intercepting the handler on message received, and we have net message dot reader, and let's say a network reader object that contains the contents of the message. So reader dot, is there like a value, or dot read message. Operator plus cannot be applied to operands of type. Hold on, I have to look online how to do that because I want to receive that message. So let's go to network message. So here we're going to go ahead and say network message. Network message received from client. So unet messages, right? Because I know we're sending it properly, but we need to see how we can actually read it. Register handler my begin message. Okay, so check this out. Here we go. My begin message is our equivalent to 500, and then here they created a message equals a new integer message my ID, and then they're sending that. My ID. I don't know what the my ID is, but let me see here. Alright, on server ready to begin message. We're going to go ahead and say begin message equals read message integer message. Okay, now hold on there. I believe this is on the client. To declare a custom network message class and use it. Let's see here. Message type. We're going to create something like this where we're basically going to have all of our custom ones, or I'm going to extend Unity's. Let's see here. Network server.send to all, the message, and then on score. Let me see here. Message equals the net message read score message. This is assuming that they're all in like the same type deal. Let me see here. We have to receive this message on the server. Oh, okay. You know what? Damn, that's gonna suck. If I have to duplicate these on the client and server, I'm not gonna like that. Let me try this. All right, so here we are in the network manager for the server. I'm gonna go ahead and declare this public class message string message, and what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna say netMessage.reader. netMessage.readMessage, and I'm going to pass in message, and then what I can do now is I believe I can get the property message, and let's see if that's how it works. If that's the case, I am not particularly going to like that. I'll need to research that design. Alright, so let's see here. Alright, so let's go ahead and test this out. Alright, so it's compiling. This is the server. I'm going to go ahead and run the server. Server on. Alright, I'm going to go over here to the client. I'm going to run the client. And as soon as we connect to the server, we're going to send that message to the server. And you'll see here that client was connected. However, it did not print out our message. So did we receive it? On message received. Let's see, register handler. And what about on the client? Did it ever send it? Okay, here's actually an issue. Client connected, but our logs didn't go off. Why not? On connect to server. Debug.log connected to server. That should have gone off locally. So why didn't that go off? Although weirdly enough, it is working, but we're not getting any local logs, which is concerning. Let's see. On connect to server, we're going to say network message. We're going to say connected to server. And message equals a new message equals hey server. Client.send, we're going to say code 500 with this message in it. And then the server is going to receive that message, 500, on message received, and it's going to read it. netMessage.readMessage.message. That's weird. So it is connecting this. I don't know why that's actually not working. Okay, server's on. Okay, script. The message may not have any parameters. This message will be ignored. Okay, hold on. That is causing a problem. Client.send message. Message. This sends a network message with a message ID to the server. This message is sent on channel 0. Let's say script error on connect to server. Alright, let's look into that. Let's say script error, Unity 5 networking. Oh man, it's It's not gonna be helpful. How to create online multiplayer given thing through the unit adding script. Let's see. Server on, client is connected, so it knows we're there. But it did not call this because it has an error. On connected to server. And we pass in the network message. Connect to server. Alright, let me check something. I'm going to turn that off for a minute. I want to see if we still get this connected, this script there. Alright, so we dropped from the client, or from the server, so I'm going to re-log in. Client connected. The message may not have any parameters. What about when I log out? Alright, client dropped connection, and it's also not giving us the logout debug. Dropped from server. Alright, so I need to figure out why the hell these aren't working. Register handler. Huh. Let me try registering these handlers before I actually start the client. Let's see here. Oh, dude. Okay, for starters, I am never even calling this function, so none of our stuff is even being registered. So let's go ahead and do this. We're going to say register handlers, then connect to the client. That explains it. And then we're going to go open up the server, and I want to just do that here as well. Before we do any listening, I want to register the handlers. Okay, this should work now. Yeah, thanks, Juan. Found it. Alright, so server is on. And we'll go ahead and run this. Alright, here we go, finally. So alright, so it says on the server, you can see it there, it says client connected, and then here it says connected to server. So we are successfully connected. When I drop on the left, it says client disconnected, client dropped connection, and this did not get called. Connected to server got called, which is great. However, on internal network system messages from communicating, a disconnect has occurred. I wonder if I have the wrong impression of what disconnect is. Let me see here, client disconnect. Because it didn't log out anything there. Hey, how's it going, Andre? Good stuff, man. Let's say client disconnect. Client disconnect, Unity 5. Alright, here we go. On client error, neither of the following functions never get called. Wait, somehow I can't find how I'm supposed to detect in the client when I'm disconnected, either explicitly or because the server just crashed. He's using these already predefined callbacks. I would just get random read by errors after a little while instead. So what was I supposed to do? Let's see here. What network is I using with UNet? I use this and it does the job. Okay, so network.onDisconnected from server, I don't know if I can use that. The reason why I say I don't know is because I'm not using the networking manager, but we will check. We'll find out. But I'm using UNet, and I already told him that these aren't getting called on my client. That's what I'm doing in the first place. Here we go. Network.onDisconnected from server is for old Unity, yada yada. I use onDisconnected for, okay. However, I'm using networkmanager.onServerDisconnect. On client disconnect does not fire at all. I made my own network manager script with the network manager as base. So you want to know if a client disconnected from the server, then you have to override public override void on server disconnect. On server disconnect. This is called on a server when a client disconnects, and you can find out which client disconnected on the con parameter. Don't care for that. Let's say I want the game to return to the offline scene of the clients on disconnect. Let me see here. Alright, I made some of those that occur on the network manager. When you implement your own network manager and inheriting from it, you have to make your own start host function. For example, calling network.start host, the function returns a network client. Having that client, you can add handlers to it that are called depending on the type of message. Let me see here. So, okay guys, I made some of the errors that can occur at the network manager when you implement your own network manager. So, network client, start host. We don't have to do that because we're not using the high level API. Well,
what's the start one?
I already gave it to him yesterday.
Where is it?
I don't know, my parents had
You
it.
can get more packs.
No, they can't, not until he's 1 year. So he's still growing.
You're not lying.
No. Seriously, go look.
Probably.
Alright, so you can create coroutine where you check network manager. Seriously, he stayed out. I dropped it off there. Oh my god. You can ask him. Alright, let's see. The same happens with network client WC. What are you doing?
Are you laughing?
Because you were freaking
you're
me
a
out.
liar.
No, I did. I told you I picked up Start and dropped him back off of my brains. I did. Seriously. He's good. But they only give me one.
What's your credit card statement?
Go for it. You can actually call and ask. You can check your app too. Alright, so you can create a coroutine where you check your network manager thing. Stop it. Alright, let me see here. I don't know why we're not getting messages. On connect to server. Debug the log connects to server.
What's the description you have?
Gross stuff. On disconnect to the server. Dropped from server. Oh my god, you're killing me. Really? What are you doing? You make me nervous.
Good.
Hey,
Where's her
really.
collar?
She lost it again.
She lost it. Take it off.
Yeah. You took it off last night. Alright, let me see.
Time to go. Bye bye.
Alright. Okay, so let me see here. All message received, network message from client. Alright, I'm gonna run the server again. I wanna run the client. I do want to see if we're getting the message. Even though I'm not getting any logs for disconnecting, I'm more concerned about if we're actually sending that message. So here I'm going to uncomment this line of code here. We're going to run the client.send. Alright, here we go. Check this out. So I connected to the server, and as you can see here, client connected, and then it says message from client, hey server. So we successfully sent a message from the server, and what we can do now is we can actually send a message back to the client. So on message received, we'll go ahead and say, we're going to say message reply equals a new message. All right, we're going to say message equals hello client, I received your message. Alright, and then what we're going to do here is we need to do the same thing. We're going to say network server dot send to client. And the client we're going to send it to is the connection ID of who sent us a message. So we're going to say net message dot con dot connection ID. Alright, that's the ID of the person who sent us that message. And what we're going to do here is we're going to pass back message type 500. Which is associated with what they're listening for. And what we're going to do here is we're then going to pass back our reply from server. Alright, so let's go back now, and what's going to happen, we need a way on the client to receive that message. So we're going to go to the client, and here we need to register to a way to receive that message. So we're going to go over here, we're going to say Yeah, okay, yeah. So we're gonna go over here, we're gonna say client.register handler message type dot disconnect. I'm sorry, not message type disconnect. We're gonna say 500. So I'm looking for ID 500 from the server or client, and I'm gonna call on message received from server. All right, so on message received from server is gonna go right here. And this should be undisconnected from server, or undisconnected, yeah, undisconnected from server. All right, that's going to be from undisconnected from server. This is on message received, yeah, void on message. We're going to pass in a network message, and we're going to say net MSG, and we're going to say debug.log reply from server. Right, and that reply is going to be net message dot network message, or I'm sorry, read message, network message dot read reader, a network reader object that contains the contents. I want to see if we can use this somehow. Like, there's no value, because ideally what I don't want to do is I don't want to have on the client and server both of these. Like, that's duplicate code. I feel like I shouldn't have to do that. But at the end of the day, I don't know how else I can get it. Unless I can read bytes. Reads a number of bytes from the stream, and then I don't know what to convert it back to. Read message. And I'm going to say T message. So it's like it's looking for a message type, so which is basically this message. And then I could probably now say like dot value. And no, I can't. So you know what? We're just going to do it this way. Dot read message. And we're going to pass in the message class. And I'm going to say dot message dot message property. Alright, so now we're going to get the message that we received from the server, and we're going to print it out. Alright, so let's go and test this out, and this should hopefully work. Alright, and then I'm going to wrap up the stream here for this part. And I got an error. Just missing a parenthesis. Alright, so I'm going to start the client. Nothing's going to happen. There's no one to connect to. Alright, so I'm going to start the server. Server started. I'm starting the client. Alright, so connected to server, the message from client, hey server, and then reply from server, hello client, I received your message. We successfully have real-time communication between the server and client, and based off those responses we can control the next part of our logic, which is controlling the player spawning as well as controlling the player's actions. Alright, so that's a good step of progress to get us going. I need to look into a solution for if I need both of these message-based classes on the client and server. I'm going to look around, see if I can find an answer to that. And then also I need to find out if I can extend the current message type so that we can keep it all nice and clean and organized, and have a class that we can just generically use. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and end this stream here. Thanks for watching, guys, and we will continue on the next one.